Welcome to Flow. Let's get started. Today we'll start off lying on your back. Bring your feet wider, knock your knees together. Bring one hand to rest on your belly, one hand to rest on your heart, and allow your eyes to close, find a soft gaze. Feel the inflation and deflation of your ribs and your belly with each breath in and out. Allow your body to sink a little bit heavier into the mat with your exhale. And feel the heaviness of your knees in towards each other. Give yourself one more big breath here. And then separate your knees, bring your feet so they're about hips width distance apart. Start to press your hips up into a bridge pose. Once you get there, pull your right fingertips back with your left hand. So you're coming into a little bit of a wrist and forearm opener. Be very gentle here. Pull back to your own range of motion and then also starting to find a little bit of activation into the glutes. Lower the hips down, take your bridge pose again and just switch. So you're pulling your left fingertips back, pressing your hips up towards the ceiling, feeling that activation through your glutes and your hamstrings. Really actively press down through your feet, feel your knees tracking right over your toes. Release your hips down, release your wrist, bring your hands behind your thighs, rock and roll yourself up to a tabletop all fours position. From your tabletop, bring your right leg up. Keep the bend of your right knee and start to externally and internally rotate the right knee. And this could be really, really easy. It doesn't have to be like a huge range of motion. Try to keep both of your hips square down to the mat as best you can. Try to keep your lower back nice and still. Just finding this easy internal and external rotation. Keep the spread of the fingers. Keep actively pressing your palms into the ground. From here, take your right ankle, bring it across your left knee, so it's like a figure four tabletop, and start to move into cat and cow from here. So this is gonna feel a little bit different, a little more opening into that front right hip. And just let this cat and cow be your own range of motion. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Breathe into the space that you can create, this movement that you can create. Take about 5 of these cat and cows. Release your right leg, slide your right leg back. So you're coming onto your front left shin. It's kind of like a modified half pigeon. It's a little gentler to get into the front of that right hip flexor. Keep your body upright. Feel free to grab for blocks or bolsters if you need them. Give yourself a few more big breaths here. And now start to walk back to your tabletop. Keep your right leg lifted, the same leg. Bend your right knee, open your hip. Option to stay here, option to find a little bit of a flip dog so your right foot will come back behind you and you can open up. Keep your left hand down to the ground, open up through your hips and your chest. Nice and gentle here, and then slowly release yourself back to your tabletop. We're gonna take all of that side number 2. Lift your left leg up off the ground, flex your left foot a lot, and start to internally and externally rotate through the left knee. And take this your own range of motion. Doesn't have to be super big, but do try to keep your hips as sturdy as you can. Try to keep your lower back as still as possible. We take this about 5 times, just turning out and in, maybe taking a little extra moment in each pose. And after your last one, take your left ankle and cross it over your right knee. So we're coming back into that figure 4 tabletop. The left ankle is crossed on top of the right knee, and start to move through your cat and cow. So on your inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze, and on your exhale, find your cat spine. And you feel that opening into the front of your left hip. And then of course, finding a lot more fluidity through the spine here. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Let yourself open through the front of the throat. That area can feel super vulnerable. We take about 5 of these. After your 5th one, unravel, unhook your left leg, slide it straight back behind you so you're coming on top of your right shin. Start to walk your hands back and lift your chest. Feel that length through the front of your left hip flexor. Feel that openness through your heart space. Pull the shoulders down your back and just breathe here. Breathe into the space that you can create through the front of your left hip flexor. And give yourself a few more moments of breath, nice and proud through the chest. And then slowly start to crawl your hands back forward, back into your one-legged tabletop position. Lift your left leg, bend your left knee, and then lift your left hip and try to let your left foot come all the way back behind you. So it's kind of like you're flipping over onto your left foot. Be nice and gentle here. And then if you'd like to, you can lift your left arm up, and this can just be a really nice and very gentle, easy way to open through the front of your body, the front of your hip, and open through your chest. This is good if you're spending a lot of time sitting down, just a nice way to open through the front of your body. Slowly bring yourself back to your tabletop and flip your toes under, find your downward facing dog. Take a few moments of breath here, really energize your heels down towards the mat. Lift your right leg up high. Keep your palms pressing down into the mat. Now pull your right knee to your chest. And now from here, take your right ankle over your left thigh. So you're coming into a figure 4 downward facing dog. If you'd like to bring your hands a little closer towards your bottom foot for some extra stability, you can of course find that. Feel that nice openness into the front of your right hip and flex your top right foot a lot. Now step your right foot so it comes between your hands, lower your back knee down to the ground and lift your arms up, a low lunge position. Really kickstand into that front right foot and feel the length that you can create all along the left side of your torso. Bring both of your hands down and then start to shift your hips back and rotate your chest, your heart space over towards the right, and start to lengthen just a teensy bit through your right leg. So this can be a pretty intense something for your outer right glute and your outer thigh. So keep your right leg bent as much as it needs to be. Just let your body hang and release over. And then slowly start to walk yourself back so your hands frame your foot. Flip your back toes, lift your back knee, find your downward facing dog. Lift your left leg and now pull your left knee towards your chest. Take a few moments here and then bring your left ankle across your right thigh. Figure 4 downward facing dog. I always need to walk my hands in just a little bit for some extra stability. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Try to flex your top left foot a lot. Pull your left knee back. Feel that length that you can create through the back of your right calf, your right hamstring. And now step your left foot so it comes between your hands. Lower your right knee down to the ground. Lift your arms up, low lunge. Keep pressing your front left foot into the ground. Feel that lift through the sides of your waist, through your chest, up towards the ceiling. Give yourself a few more big breaths here. And then bring your hands down and slowly start to rotate your hands and your torso over to the left. Simultaneously, try to straighten through your left leg. Now, it doesn't have to get all the way straight. If you have even a deep bend in that leg, that's okay. What we want to emphasize more than anything here is that rotation through the torso. This is going to hit that outer left IT band, kind of a tricky muscle to get to, a tricky muscle to stretch. So this is a really nice way to just kind of get there and then breathe into this. Now slowly start to walk yourself back. You're back in a low lunge. Flip your back toes, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your right leg high. Pull your right knee to your chest, so very familiar here. And we find that figure 4 downward facing dog again. So cross the ankle over the thigh. Now this will be different. Start to walk your hands back towards your bottom foot. Bend your bottom knee so you're in a released over figure 4 position. And if you need any sort of bolster underneath your hands, maybe that's some blocks or some books, go ahead, find that for yourself. Just allow your head to hang nice and heavy. Maybe take a little bit of movement through your head and your neck. And now start to crawl your hands over to the right. And with that, you'll notice that your torso and your right knee kind of travel over to the right as well. Now coming into something a little bit funky here. So your right ankle is crossed over your left knee. Slide your right foot so it comes directly in front of your left foot into a 5th position. I know. Come into your own 5th position. It doesn't matter if you're super turned out. You can be a little more parallel. Find a bend with your knees. The benefit of finding a forward fold in a turned out position is we hit a little bit deeper into the IT bands. Crawl your hands over to the right. Maintain a bend of your knees, as deep of a bend as you need to. You can have separation between your feet. It doesn't have to be a perfect Russian 5th position. Crawl your hands over to the left, same thing. Just finding something in this turnout. Bring yourself back to center and now slide your right foot so you're coming into a wide 2nd position. Bring your forearms to rest on your thighs. Give yourself a few moments here. Try to press your elbows into your thighs, your knees, to really encourage your knees over your toes. And then bring your hands down to the fronts of your ankles and try to release your body a little bit deeper. So even if your hips are up a little bit higher, that's okay. Try to release your body over. And now start to crawl yourself back to your lunge with your left foot in front. Come to downward facing dog. We set all this up on the second side. Inhale, lift your left leg, and now pull your left knee to your chest. And now bring your left ankle across your right thigh, figure 4. Start to walk your hands back towards your back foot. Take a bend with your bottom knee. You can kind of hop yourself to the middle of your mat if that'll make that easier. Bend your bottom knee. You can use your hands to kind of pull your left ankle up and then release your torso, release your head. Notice the tension you might be holding on to in the jaw or the face. Give yourself a few moments of breath and heaviness here. And then start to crawl your hands over to the left. So already we start to feel a little bit of a different sensation, especially into that left glute. Let your torso rotate to the left. Let your hands and your left knee kind of slide over to the left as well. Take big breaths in. And then slowly start to slide your foot down. So I know this feels a little bit funky. Come into your own 5th position. It doesn't have to be anything too crazy. Left foot is in front. Bend your knees as much as you need to. If you can't get your knees all the way straight, that's okay. You want your knees to be safe here. Take a bend with your knees. Crawl your hands over to the left. Maintain a bend with your knees. Push your hips over to the right. A little bit of a counter stretch. And then slowly walk your hands back to center and then walk your hands over to the right. And again, maintain a bend with your knees. Maintain heaviness through your head. Breathe into that space between your shoulder blades. Full big breaths in and out. And then slowly walk your hands back to center. Now slide your front foot so it slides out to the left. Wide second position once again, really working into the turnout muscles here. Bring your hands to your ankles. Even if your hips are up a little bit higher, that's okay, but just try to release your torso down. Maybe find a little shift from side to side. And now look over towards your right foot and crawl yourself back to a parallel lunge over to the right. Press into your hands, find your downward facing dog. Give yourself a few moments in this downward facing dog. And then lower your knees all the way down to the ground. Shift your legs around and just come to sit. Bring your hands so they come behind you, and then just very slowly, very gently, just start to roll and rock your knees from one side to the other. We more want to emphasize internal rotation here of the top leg because we've spent so much time in that turned out position. We want to do a little bit of the opposite through the hips. Find a little bit of internal rotation here. And on each side, give yourself a few moments, maybe hold about 3 or 4 seconds. Let that top leg really be heavy, really turn in. And we take this about 5 times each side. Nice and gentle, moving at your own pace, your own speed. You want to end on your back today. Come all the way down the same way that we began. Internal rotation. Knock your knees together. Bring your feet a little bit wider. Bring one hand to the belly, one hand to the heart. Come back into your body. Come back into your breath and notice and acknowledge any shifts, any changes that you might feel. That could be physical, that could be mental, or maybe just with your breath. Take these final few moments to acknowledge your effort and acknowledge this time that you've given to yourself and to your physical well-being. Thank you for joining us today. And that's your flow.